Well, folks, I hope you're ready to snag some opportunities out there in the stock market. Got a few things I want to share with you guys here today. Some opportunities I see in the market, some specific things that are going on in the market that you absolutely should keep an eye on, and a few other various things. So I hope you guys enjoy this. As always, just want to get straight into this video. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being subscribed, folks. Appreciate y'all. Also got a free resource as a pinned comment down there that's investing in 2023 and beyond. Just a bunch of tips and kind of pointers and things like that in those two workshops that will be pinned comment if you want access to that. Okay. Alrighty, so first thing I want to discuss here right off the top is the NASDAQ officially snapped its 8-week winning streak. Okay. Finally getting to see some weakness coming into this market. Finally getting some pullback type stuff going on, which is what we need to see. Just to be quite frank, markets do not just go up in a straight line forever. You need to have corrections in the market. You need to have pullbacks in the market. So when I look at what happened this past week, I'm a very, very happy camper. Okay. Now, let's not confuse this. It's been an amazing first half of the year for specific stocks and for specific indexes. A lot of people think everybody's making so much money in the market right now. No. Maybe some of you guys are making a lot of money out there in the market. I'm certainly making a lot of money in the market, but I could tell you a lot of people are not making money in this market. Shorts are they're losing their entire portfolios, their entire accounts are going to zero. People that are in Dow stocks are doing hardly anything. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 1% this year. 1%, right? So there's specific stocks that are absolutely tearing it up and other stocks that aren't doing that much. And the divergence in the indexes is as dramatic as it was last year, to be quite frank, just in a different realm, right? The NASDAQ's up nearly 30% this year. The S&P 500 is up about 13%, which is really good performance for a first half of the year for the S&P 500. That's phenomenal. You'll take that every year if that can happen for 6 months a year. The Russell's up about 4%. Dow Jones Industrial Average is once again up less than 2% for the year. Insane kind of divergence we have going on this year, okay? And now, the important thing to remember about this, okay, is this is exactly why when I was going into this year, I was like, the Dow is not the place to be. The Dow is not the place to be. When I looked out, what did I tell you guys last year? Anybody that was watching my videos last year, especially, in the back half of the year, that massive, I told you time and time again, the divergence you're seeing between the NASDAQ and the Dow, because the NASDAQ was doing so much worse than the Dow. I said that will not continue. These always balance out over time. Always. Always. And sure enough, exactly what we've seen. The Dow heavily underperform, and the NASDAQ obviously have an extraordinary time period here, okay? That's why going into this year, the Dow was a huge risk, because I can tell you if the market continued to go down, the Dow was going to go down way more than the NASDAQ. And then if we were going to go on the upside, the NASDAQ was going to beast, and the Dow was going to not do too much, okay? It's exactly how it played out. I called that to the perfect T. That's just history 101, man. History 101. That's the way the market works. If you have a few of these that get way overextended in either direction, they will all balance out over time. Naturally, as the market goes up, the NASDAQ should a little outperform the Dow. But on the downside, the NASDAQ should do a little worse than the Dow. What happened last year, that was not normal, man. That was a freakish scenario, right? I got to say, this is probably the best 6 months period ever for the public count, right? Going into this year, the public count was at about $1 million roughly, and right now we're over $1.7 million in the public count. It's absolutely doing tremendous, and it's being carried by a few stocks. The two that come to mind are the two biggest positions are Meta and Tesla. Look at Meta's performance this year so far. Look at Tesla's performance this year so far, and you'll understand why this account is doing so tremendous. Then you look at ELF, you look at Palantir, many other various stocks, okay? And so with the public count, I'm very happy with the positioning I have in that portfolio. In terms of, am I planning on thinking of, with Meta's made its big move, with Tesla made its big move, am I thinking about selling Tesla, thinking about selling Meta, some of those stocks that have really been running, ELF on a shelf? And my thing is, absolutely not. When companies' fundamentals look like they're going to get better and better for years to go in the future, at the end of the day, I've had to learn the hard way over the past 15 years that it doesn't make sense to cut those type of stocks. ELF's fundamentals just get better year after year after year after year. Tesla's fundamentals just keep getting better year after year after year after year, right? 2022 is kind of like a dip in the business in terms of demand for many various reasons, right? But Tesla should be coming back stronger than ever. Meta's fundamentals are going to get dramatically better over this next several quarters. Wait to see their net income. So when I look at a lot of those really big dog positions, there's just absolutely no reason for me to cut those when the fundamentals are likely just going to get massively better for those companies for the next many years, many years. At the end of the day, when you hold great stocks that are doing great things, wait on those, okay? Next thing I want to discuss that's really big here before we get into a lot of opportunities in the market that I'm seeing out there and things like that, okay? And this is really, really important point I need to make here, okay? Because we just spoke about like taking profits in stocks, okay? Now, remember, if you are in, companies that you love for the next 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, remember, you're at an early stage of a very long road, okay? Where are you at on the road? I don't know. You might be at the green line with that stock or the blue line or the red line or something like that, okay? If you're buying a stock for the next many years, you're still early days on this road to where you want that company to go over time. And if the fundamentals keep getting better, the company's probably going to continue to launch more and more better products and services over time, right? That's what great companies do. That's what high quality companies do over time, okay? That really keep their pedal to the metal. And so I want to caution people from like always being in this mindset of trying to take profits once they make a little money. Because we know certainly this year, it's been one of those years people made a little money at the beginning of the year when we kind of had that market go up, right? I mean, we had that initial kind of January into February time where the market just kind of beasted. And a lot of people just took that as, time to take profits, and then they missed out on another extraordinary move we've had over the past couple months, right? And don't get too caught up in the short-term mentality. It's not healthy. It's not a good place. It's not where you want to be in this market overall as a long-term investor. It's a long road for these companies. Let them do their thing over years. Yeah, you're going to have some bumps in the road. You're going to have some ups and downs. That's part of being an investor of a great company. That's just the way it is. And that's the way it is for anything. You want to be a great athlete, you're going to have ups and downs. There's no perfect road. You want to have a relationship with somebody. There's no, it's not like the road's always perfect. It's going to be ups and downs in that road, man. And the same thing is with long-term investments. You're going to have to go through some ups and downs. As somebody that's been an investor at Tesla for many years, we've had to go through some ups and downs, man. Some days it looked really dark, and some days that it's looked very, very bright, right? And so keep that in mind, folks. You got to go through the ups and downs, okay? Now, few opportunities I see in the market are just few things I want to, keep your eye on. We can call them some stocks to watch. Maybe some would call them stocks to buy. It depends, okay? But a few things I'm keeping my eye on that I see as opportunities out there in the market, which there's definitely some opportunities I see out there, okay? So just one thing I want to keep an eye on. I'm not really looking at Carnival as a stock I really want to buy, but I am going to keep an eye on it because they're reporting earnings on Monday. And I just want to see, is there any slowdown in their business? The cruise line industry has been in a pretty healthy place for about the past, I would say, 12 to 18 months or so, as soon as they started to really be able to open back up in a real way. So I just want to see, is there any slowdown when it comes to Carnival's business? Walgreens Boots Alliance is reporting on Tuesday before the bell. I think it's definitely, my strategy is always GVD, right? Growth, value, dividends, and having growth stocks, value stocks, and dividend stocks in my portfolios. Walgreens might be a stock some of you guys want to look at, just to be quite frank. Just a great dividend paying company, very stable, regardless if there's a weak economy, okay economy, bad economy, people still need to get the stuff from Walgreens, okay? Now, we're going into year 2 now at this point in time of Roz Brewer running the company. He's a very talented executive, and I'm really excited to see, how his business transforms over this next couple of years, because that first year, you're just getting, under your belt, and it's just kind of like a mess, and you're trying to reorganize a lot of things in the business, right, and trying to get things in place so your vision can come through really in year 2, 3, and 4, right? And obviously you can hopefully become, stay CEO for many years to go in the future. But it's interesting because analysts have them growing about 5% revenues in this current quarter, which is pretty strong growth for Walgreens. That's for Walgreens, we'll take 5% growth. Very nice EPS expansion expected in this quarter as well, from 96 cents last quarter to $1.07. So we look like we should be getting a company now that starts to expand their earnings per share quite substantially, quarter after quarter after quarter, which would be phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But this is the important thing, okay, when it comes to Walgreens. Because when it comes to Walgreens, do I want the stock to go up over the next few years? Yes. Do I think the stock will go up over the next few years? Yes. But the more important thing is, I'm buying a stock that is yielding over 6%. So I'm going to make 6% plus a year for just holding the stock, right? and assuming they can continue to bring in earnings. Now, this company is expected to do $4 plus of EPS in 2023. The company pays less than $2 a year in dividends. So if I look at it from kind of that standpoint, we got, truly, based upon what they're going to earn this year, what they're expected to earn, we got less than a 50% payout ratio. And so Walgreens actually has room to up their dividend in future years if they choose to do so. So what I'm looking at with Walgreens is I'm going to, if I'm buying shares now, I'm getting a 6% something yield, but it's very probable that they'll up their dividends in future years, and I'll start earning 7% on the shares I bought, 8% on the shares I bought, 9%, 10% a year, right? And then if you can add on some capital appreciation, which I think Walgreens can do over time, then we're really talking. And, the pharmaceutical space is always highly competitive. There's nothing new. It's going to continue to be competitive. It's always been competitive for 100 plus years now. Walgreens has done just fine over time, okay? So that it's just an interesting dividend stock I think more people should be at least taking a peek at as an opportunity. Now, Wednesday, Thursday, Micron and Nike are reporting. And I'm keeping a close eye on these ones. Micron really, for how overall is the memory market. If you don't know Micron, they're basically one of the biggest memory chip makers in the world, okay? Like literally one of the biggest suppliers in the world. So everything you could possibly imagine from our electronics device has memory in it. Pretty much every single thing, okay? Whether you're buying an iPhone or whether you're buying an iPad or a new computer or anything, okay? It all has memory in it, and a lot of that memory comes from a company named Micron. And, it's interesting because Micron, I followed the stock very close for years. I actually had a close friend who's owned the stock, and he owns a lot of the stock for a long, long time. And the company's been going through kind of a tough past, I would say 12 to 18 months. But it's interesting in regards to Micron, right? Company is supposed to, lose a bunch of money this year, right? It's supposed to have revenues down 50% this year. It's just a complete disaster. But the weird thing with Micron, it's a weirdest thing. For this particular company, you actually want to buy it when it looks like the end of the world, when its revenues are going down like substantially. And by the way, this is something that's normal for Micron. Like Micron has these insane boom cycles where, their revenues are all of a sudden going up 20%, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70%. It's insane. And they're bringing in so much money in terms of profitability, like they can't find enough money printers for all the money. It's ridiculous, okay? They need to start, making their own bank vaults. It's insane. And they go through these other tough times where it's just like revenue's horrible, they're losing money, and it looks like the end of the world. But every time I've seen it, that's actually when you want to be buying Micron. And then every time the company is raking in money, that's actually when you want to be a seller of the stock. It's not like a typical stock that has a long-term trajectory of like a great business and like, we're going to get even bigger and bigger. So this isn't Apple, okay, or Microsoft or one of those sorts of companies, right? Or Palantir. Micron is much more of I would call it a 1 to 3 year type trading play. Some people like to do stuff like that, so I like to just keep an eye on it. It's not a stock I personally own or am interested in owning. I just like to keep an eye on it from the standpoint of what's going on in the memory market in general, right? And I will say, it looks like AI should be a big boom for Micron, at least for the next, I would say, few years here. And so if you want to go down that rabbit hole, a lot of folks have written, well-done articles in regards to Micron and the AI opportunity for Micron and things like that. So yeah, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, you certainly can, okay? Nike, I'm keeping a close eye on Nike because Nike's actually going through a tough time in their business. Their revenues are expected to go down 6% on a year-over-year basis, right? And their earnings per share is supposed to come at 61 cents. That's versus 90 cents a year ago. Those are bad numbers for Nike. Nike is one of those companies you would always expect it to be slam dunk 4 to 9% revenue growth. 4 to 9% revenue growth is like a slam dunk for Nike. When a company comes in and is expected to basically have revenues go down 6%, start looking around like, what is going on here? So Nike's clearly got problems in their business model right now, right? And so I'm keeping an eye here to see if this is an opportunity that I might want to step in Nike. I am a believer in Nike long term. I just think they're going through a kind of a tough time short term. But the one thing I'll say is, I honestly think Foot Locker is an easier play than something like Nike, because I've looked at it and I'm like, would I rather buy more Foot Locker shares, which is a stock I own, would I rather buy Nike? And I really like Nike, but at the end of the day, Foot Locker gets a huge component of their business from Nike, right? But just think about this. Think about this for a moment, right? If Nike is having issues with their brand or whatever, that means other people are probably picking up market share. Guess who's the retailer that sells other brands as well? It's Foot Locker. So with Foot Locker, you kind of get it's the perfect scenario where if Nike is doing well, Foot Locker is going to succeed, obviously, because a lot of Foot Locker's business is Nike. But if other brands are succeeding, Foot Lockers can still capitalize on that because you go in a Foot Locker store, there's a lot of brands other than Nike as well. And so that's just something I'm thinking about, like from a risk standpoint, and especially when I can get a company that's trading at, P's and forward P's of, like 10 or less, which is what Foot Locker is right now. Another dividend yield of a massive 6% on this one versus a Nike, which is a much, much smaller yield, not even close. And the other thing is, Mary Dillon's in year 1, and Mary Dillon's a very proven, great CEO. She led Ulta Beauty for 8 years, and obviously she did tremendous running Ulta Beauty, right? And so is she going to have the same success at Foot Locker like she did Ulta? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't need her to have that level of success. She can just be any success. I mean, that's a win for Foot Locker when you're trading as cheaply as the stock's trading. But if she pulls off what she pulled off at Ulta, I mean, the sky's the limit for Foot Locker over this next, 5 years or so. So I'm really excited about that one. I've looked at Nike versus Foot Locker, and at the end of the day, I like Nike, but Foot Locker is just easier money from a risk-reward standpoint, in my opinion, without nearly as much brand risk that a Nike has for doing something that makes people mad or whatever, okay? Now, there's some other opportunities I see in this market as well, okay? Here's one of those opportunities. I'm keeping a very close eye on Palantir. I might start adding Palantir shares again. I'm hoping this is another down week for Palantir. I don't know. The stock's been kind of red hot. Finally had a pullback week. I'm hoping it has another pullback week, but I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath on it. Palantir's been running, for a bit here. Somebody left a comment. I think that, because whenever these stocks are hot and people aren't participating, you always get a few people that are like, get really in their feelings and they hate on it. Let's just call it. It's jealousy, it's envy, it's all those sorts of things, right? And somebody's like, oh, you Palantir shareholders, you're getting wrecked right now. It's like, have you seen Palantir stock? It's up like 100% this year. What are you talking about getting wrecked this year? But that's just, you always got a few people out there that's just, there's a lot of jealousy that happens in the market. When you don't own the stocks that are doing well and those other stocks that you don't own, they're performing and you're like, you get very in your feelings about it, right? At the end of the day, like, there's no point being like that. I don't hold NVIDIA stock, right? I used to hold NVIDIA stock back in the day. I should have held every share I ever owned of that one. I think it's 10x plus since I owned it, right? But NVIDIA is doing amazing. It doesn't mean I have to hate on NVIDIA and be like, oh, that's ridiculous. But this is what happens, man. Stocks do tremendous, whether it's a Palantir, whether it's Tesla, and then you got a lot of people that just are extremely jealous and envious because they see everybody else making so much money, and they're like, it's like, dude, oh my gosh, man. But that's, I guess we can call it, that's human nature over time. So anyways, I hope Palantir falls this week. I'd love to pick up some more shares of Palantir. Another stock out there, Cake. It had a rough kind of 5 days, a 4% plus move. For Cake, that's a pretty big move for Cake there. 3% plus dividend yield on this one. I'm so sure I want to build Cake into an absolutely massive position with what they got going on with FRC, with North Italia. Like, it's ridiculous. Forward P under 12 on this one. So, yeah, Cake's a phenomenal opportunity. I want to continue to buy that one, okay? Another opportunity I see out there in the market is certainly PayPal. PayPal right now is just trading far too cheap. And, I looked at the move they made this past week in regards to getting a lot of that buy now, pay later debt off. Brilliant move by PayPal. They so de-risk the business model, it's not even funny. And so PayPal's a tremendous opportunity. Don't be surprised if you see me buying that one here this week. Another opportunity is not from really the long side, but if you're looking to hedge a little bit, I think Apple's an easy stock to hedge against. Stocks climbed 44%. Numbers are bad for Apple. They're not going to likely get any better for Apple here in the short term. China continues to be weak. Europe continues to be weak, right? Their VR headset's not going to sell for crap because the price point's so ridiculous. So when that does come out, it's not going to be a game changer for Apple's numbers whatsoever. They'd have to bring the price point down in a massive, massive way because most people can't afford $4,000 for a VR thing. I don't think I'm telling anybody anything you don't already know, right? iPhone 15 looks like it's just going to be very basic. I've seen all the mock-ups, or we can call it basically, I've seen the iPhone 15 and it's nothing. It's just another basic iPhone. So there's certainly not going to be some super cycle around iPhone. And so I think this is just an easy stock to hedge against. You're not going to have massive upside ahead for Apple. Maybe you got, a 10% risk there. But in terms of if the market does turn negative for whatever reason, I think Apple will be one of the easiest to fall quite substantially, especially considering how many people own this one and or just kind of looking for a reason to take some profits here, okay? So anyways, that's kind of my opinion on that. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video as always. I appreciate everybody joining me. Thanks for being subscribed, folks. Get your free resource. It's pinned comment down there. You're going to get some free value out of that. Much love and have a great day. Get ready to rock.